right, welcome, and let's continue having this conversation. In studio, I'm having a sit down with Sherastine Mengo. He is a personal branding and positioning consultant, just to help us understand more about personal branding, especially in the context of leadership. Why is this important? Why leadership?
Because, simply put, personal branding is a leadership requirement, whether we like to accept it or not. Because when you look at any leader cutting across board, talk religious leaders, when you're talking of political leaders, business leaders, you would see all the ones who come to your mind, for a reason or the other, they have a strong personal brand. So then it means, again, as a leader of today, the world is evolving. But you, the leader, have you evolved with the way the world is evolving? How information was being circulated before is not the same. With the advent of social media, traditional media now is gelling into new media. A lot is changing, but are you changing with the times? Are you changing with technology? Now we have AI and all these other technological improvements. So as today's leader, how are you amplifying your leadership message through these technological advancements? Or are you being left behind? So yeah, this is the reason why I like to focus on leaders, because again, they need personal branding like blood, because otherwise their leadership will plateau.
Like yes. Blood, it's that serious.
I think so, yes.
Let's begin by just, that step to identify, to have a unique identity that speaks to the package that you are as a leader, something that will represent your vision, your expertise, and what you have to offer society, something that will identify you as a unique,
yes.
You sort of like away from the whole pack.
Yes.
How do you achieve that?
Yeah, it's important because now we're in a world where there is so much noise. Everyone today is a content creator in their own right. Everyone today wants to speak. Everyone today has an opinion, and they have a place to voice that opinion. As we can see, this is also, we have seen a lot of what you would call fake news, because everyone is a news station in their own right. So then carving that unique identity is very important for you to stand out from the crowd. A unique identity starts from you as a person, because I like to reference a very uncommon person, that is Snoop Dogg, the younger generation. He says that no one can be you but you. So then,
powerful.
Bring this you out, okay? Now, carving out a unique identity starts from, one, that self-awareness. Knowing yourself, what works for you, who is even listening to you, what message do you have for them? And then we go again a bit lower to what are your attributes, what are your values, what is your vision? These are the things that will separate you, especially your attributes and your values, because your values will determine your messaging, they will determine your audience. Give an example of Trump. The moment he came out and said that I am a conservative, all the Christians and all the evangelicals rallied about him, behind him, and the whole landscape of the politics at that time changed.
Yeah.
Because he came out and said what he stood for and what he believed in, and that helped him to stand out from all the other candidates. So it's that important to build your identity around your values, your vision, and what you stand for. Also, what value are you bringing to the marketplace?
So sometimes it's not harmful to be different. We always try to fit in the script, fit within that script.
Thank you for raising that. In fact, it's very important for you it really helps you to stand out from the competition, or to stand out from the crowd. As I said again, there is so much noise. So standing for what you believe in separates you. There is a risk of you may lose a certain demographic, but the demographic you gain will be a real, actual tribe. It's not just people who follow you in confusion. They follow you in conviction, because they believe in what you believe. Yeah.
All right. How do you communicate the you to the community? Because you said it's important for that you to come out, for people to identify you for who you really are and what you stand for. I know voice is important. Speaking it is important. As you tell us the significance of voice, are there any other aspects that you can use to communicate you to the community, to the people that you are leading as a leader?
Yeah, there are so many opportunities today, and you are not boxed anywhere. We are in a world where there are platforms where you could speak to people who are miles and miles away from you. As I'm speaking to you today, not everyone is tuning in through their TV. Some are streaming live. So we're just saying there are these platforms where the people you want to talk to are on. And it's important that I also separate the issue of platforms. Not every platform has the people that you want to talk to. You may want to talk, if you want to talk to professionals, maybe a platform like LinkedIn would be good for you. If you're targeting the younger generation, platforms like Instagram, TikTok are good for you. There is also a special generation which I'm yet to fully understand that is still on Facebook. So all these platforms, you can use them to put out your message. But again, you have to start from one, deciding how you want to be known, the value you're providing, and who you want to talk to. Then that determines where you're going to do your messaging and where people will meet the value you have to provide. Yes.
So how do you craft this message? What principles do you apply when you want to craft this message before you communicate it?
Yes. So your message as a person may start from, first of all, the self-awareness I talked about, and then choosing what you want to tell the people based on what you have. You cannot give what you don't have. So what is it that is in you? What is the value that you bring? So when you decide that value, then you put it out. Let me give an example. I was thinking, just as the previous guest was here in travel, I was thinking of Mohamed Hirsi. I know most of us see him. This man gives a lot of value online. Let me just give him his flowers. He gives a lot of value as far as tourism, as far as travel, and all he does is to weigh in on issues whenever they come up, and he gives that professional perspective, that perspective of experience. For him, I see he's very popular on Facebook, and that's where he does a lot of his thing. So for you also as a leader, based on who you lead and who you want to give your message to, then the platform you are on, again, decides how you craft your message. If you're on Instagram, you cannot do written content. You can only do video or photo. If you're on LinkedIn, you can do both. If you're on Twitter, you can do both. So again, where your people are determines how you are going to craft your message in terms of platform. Yes.
All right. Just as a follow-up on that, in Kenya, the most common phrase, especially among the political class, tell them what they want to hear. Is that the right approach? You go to, say, a rally, tell them what they want to hear. Is it cost of living? Give them that. Is it corruption? Give them that. Is that a strategy that works? Or is it right?
I cannot say it does not work, because I'll be lying. Because we have seen, in the last political contestations. But at the end of the day, the general public is getting smarter by the day. But also at the same time, you have to, they are so smart, they are listening to the consumer. They are not just coming up with things. They have listened to the ground, they know what you're seeking. So when they come before you, they say what you want to hear. But now personal branding for a leader is not just about articulating your message. It is also about actually fulfilling the promises you make. And that's why they lose it. That's why you see some of them losing elections. That's why you see some of them, by the time they win election, either they have used other means, which I don't want to discuss here. So, but that lasting brand has a lot to do with actually keeping the promise of what you said. So it goes beyond just saying what they want, but giving them what they actually want. Yes.
All right. Let's talk about the value of network, having strong networks as a leader. How pivotal is it for your personal brand?
So a strong personal, that's just, it's more or less a benefit of a strong personal brand. It helps you to build very valuable networks in terms of, now, as you put out your message with your authenticity, again, let me say this. To build a strong personal brand, you need authenticity. It must be authentic, otherwise it will crumble at some point. So now, when you put your authentic self out there, you start attracting like-minded people, industry leaders. You start attracting people who think like you. And then now with time, of course, you build a strong network. And this network is not only, it's a resource for you, and it's also a platform for you to put out your message, for you to influence them more. Because you become more influential when you have other more influential people around you. So a network is a resource and a platform at the same time for a strong personal brand. And when you build your brand, this is one of the effects or one of the benefits that you're going to reap.
So you have to be strategic in who you allow in your space and within your network?
Exactly. And the word would be alignment. Let there be alignment between your associations and your personal brand. They have to align. I cannot build the brand of a born-again Christian and my association is thieves. It does not make sense. Or my association is people who are immoral. So there has to be that alignment. Again, going back to what I said, values. There has to be an alignment of values in terms of what you say, who you're with, and even the platforms you're on. I cannot expect a person to be on a platform that is not congruent with their values as a person and with their personal brand and their message, the message that they are trying to put across. I know all of us have been in situations where you see a person and you're like, you're preaching water but drinking wine. So you cannot do that if you're trying to build a strong personal brand. Yeah.
As a leader, remember today we're talking about leaders and personal branding, especially for leaders and not just political leaders. It could be in corporate, in church, in a community, in an NGO, in just your local, in your group there, you know, it could be any space. But as a leader, what do you need to do in terms of your personal branding? And the networking that we are discussing, Sherastine, is it just a one-off thing, or you need some level of consistency in terms of creating relationships? And, you know, does it help or?
No, very, very good point, because networking has been misunderstood. Exchanging business cards is not networking. Networking is actually building lasting relationships based on value. Okay? And the way for a leader to look at networking, it's not only for you. You also network on behalf of your followers, you network on behalf of the people around you. If today I am going out for a meeting, I may meet people who may not want what I'm selling or who may not be interested in what I'm doing, but they could be interested in something that I know someone else in my network needs. So it's a value for value issue. And again, networking is strategic, as you said earlier. It's not just going to any meeting just because there are people you consider to be of value. It's about that alignment. It's about the people that add value to your personal brand. Again, it's about you adding value to the lives of others. You cannot,
so it's a two-way traffic.
In fact, I see it more as giving than two-way.
Ah, okay.
It's if you go to an event thinking of what you'll get from there, you're likely to come out with business cards and nothing else. But if you go to an event to give, you are likely to come out with so much more than you took there. And I'm saying this because we need that paradigm shift of moving from the place of selfishness to a place of giving. That will push us to dig deep and ask ourselves, what value do I have to provide even as I'm going to this meeting? Or am I just going there to collect cards? It's about giving value. And when you give value, people want to be around you because value is what the market understands. Value is what followers understand when you're leading.
Wow, that's new. I mean, it's not just about what you stand to gain because you're trying to build who you are. It's also more, in fact, it's saying it's more about what you're willing to give. That is what will attract people to you.
In fact, again, sorry to cut you short.
It's okay.
It pushes you to build yourself more because you have to be resourceful if you're going to be of value to others. You cannot just sit around and wait for others to work hard and bring you what they have worked for. You also have to work hard and bring this that you have to others. When you're resourceful, you tend to meet other more resourceful people. And when you're resourceful, people want to be around you. You have that, I know most of us have that friend whom you know. Whatever I need, if I ask them, they must know something or they must know something.
Or they know someone.
Those
who
people,
knows
even if they offend you, you don't want to lose them. Because you know they're what? They are resourceful. And that's what every leader should be. It's not about being big and staying by yourself and commanding people to do things. It is about you being resourceful, you touching lives, you changing lives, and you adding value to the lives of other people. Yeah.
All right. They say that it gets lonely at the top. You're talking about networking. and building relationships.
Yes.
I'm not lonely, so it means I am not at the top yet, or what?
Lonely at
But is
the
it
top.
true that it gets lonely at the
It's a
top?
perception. It doesn't have to be. That's what I believe. Okay, it has worked differently for different people, but I don't believe it has to be. I was listening to, I know many people know these Shark Tank personalities called Damon John. Damon John was asked by a child, he went to what you would call here a primary school, and one of the children, I think he must have been 12 or 11, he said, "What's your net worth?" He was shocked. I know he didn't expect a question like that in that.
From a
But
child.
how he answered it was very profound, because he said, "My net worth is very good friends who I can talk to at any time to help me with what I need." How lonely is that? It's not lonely.
It's not.
Yeah, Damon John he's doing very well in financial terms and many other terms that you would want to talk about. He's someone who is at a level most of us would like to be. So I don't think it's lonely. The only thing is you have less people around you, but more quality people around you. Again, based on value. So the thing is, we say that those of us who are down here when we are looking up, because we can't reach them. That's why we say it's lonely at the top. Then you are the one who is lonely, they are not. Because they have a very resourceful network around them. They just, before you even get close to them, the question they ask themselves, what value are you bringing? Yes.
But do you think if you flip the coin, there are instances where as a leader, if you don't go about it the right way, you could just be losing people along the way and creating a very lonely space for yourself as you convince yourself that you're thriving and rising?
That is a truth in a way, but I think there is a way around it. The thing I was mentioning earlier called authenticity.
Yeah.
You have to be authentic to the place of, this is who I am, this is what I stand for. I am willing to lose or gain based on what I believe in. Let me use an example most people will recognize. Jesus Christ was not loved by everyone. In fact, I don't know if there is a leadership school you will go to that will not mention Jesus Christ. That's why I'm mentioning here. Because he alienated a huge group of people just to pursue what he believed. And it is the case even now with even politics. You see, people are winning with 50% and a few points above. It means you cannot please everyone. Not everyone will agree with what you're saying. They don't necessarily hate you, but they just don't agree with your values. So you have to be at a place where you're willing to lose some and gain some for what you believe in. So conviction is important, even in your leadership journey. But at the same time, we are not saying that alienate people just because you don't want them around you. But your goal should be to build the people around you. They themselves will choose whether they want to stay or they want to leave. Of course, there are different leadership styles. I don't want to be ignorant of that, but ensure that you are just giving value to those who are willing to. You can also give value to those who are willing to take it, really. So it's not going to be necessarily your mistake that you lose people. Or it is your mistake, but it's a mistake that has to be taken for it. It's a shot that has to be taken for some reason. But what is your goal and what is your intention? That's the most important thing. Yes.
So focus on where you're going and what you want to
100%.
achieve.
It's about what you want. It's about your goals, and it's about building other people.
All
where you
right.
can.
Stay on course. Let's talk about authority. For you to be a leader, somebody that people can actually listen and follow and emulate, there has to be some level of authority that you command in the space within which you lead, which sometimes usually is a hard nut to crack. You could be appointed or nominated or voted in, but kuna wale, there are people who still feel like you don't deserve to be there. There's a difference between a leader and somebody who really commands authority and people feel like you really are our leader and you deserve to be in that space. How do you get to that point?
Yeah, let me encourage your viewers to go and study some books by John Maxwell. John Maxwell, I don't know if we'll have a better teacher of leadership in our lifetime. John Maxwell says two things. Number one, he says that leadership is influence. Two, he says, without followers, there is no leader. And three, he says, leadership is not a position. So there could be a person who has been given a position, but you strip them of the position and nothing remains. There are those people who, even without their position, you still feel their influence. I just saw yesterday Barack Obama giving his view of what is going on in Israel, between Israel and Palestine. You could see that people eagerly waited to hear from him. He has been stripped of the position of president, but people, that influence is still there. So leadership is not position. And I tell most people, like young people today, I say, if today your job and your position is taken away from you, what is left? So if there is nothing left, then you have not built a strong personal brand yet. You have not built yourself as an expert. You have not built yourself as a leader. So when you talk of authority, the way to do authority or the way to go about authority, I say in this age and time, it's content that builds authority. What comes from you is what builds authority, not the chair you're sitting on. It is what value you add. I was looking at, you see someone like Bill Gates, he's influencing in healthcare, but this is a tech guy. How do you reconcile that? But when you look at, he has what he calls the Gates Notes. He talks a lot about the planet, the problems that are going on, and then you see his voice is important in that, in different arenas of life. Talk of healthcare, talk of climate, because of content. It's what he puts out. So you as a leader in your domain, what are you putting out that builds that authority? Why do we respect PhDs so much? Because they are subject matter authorities. They have researched a subject so much, they have written on it so much, that now we believe that they understand it in and out, and it gives them authority when they come to speak on it. So where you are today as a leader in your domain, if you're a business leader, if you're a leader in church, if you're a leader in a society, how much content are you putting out? And I see even, let me say, on media today, there are faces we tend to see almost every day. We tend to believe them because we hear so much from them on a certain subject. So as a leader where you are, how much are you saying about your subject matter? And that is what will build authority. You can do it through your blog, social media, traditional media, new media, but put out your thoughts. We are talking about becoming a thought leader, not what people see today as influencer. It's about becoming a thought leader, not an influencer. In fact, something so comical I saw, and no offense, someone said, are influencers really influencers or suggesters? It's just a question, but it's something for us to think about. So it's about building yourself to a thought leader, not just an influencer, a thought leader in your area of influence. Yes.
All right. So how do you enrich your bank of knowledge? Some practical tips or approaches to really enrich your bank of knowledge so that you can be an authority in that area that you're leading?
Again, we are living in an information age. Today, you don't have to go sit in a library to read a book. If you have a smartphone, you can read a book on that phone. You can order a book on Kindle. You can order a book on Amazon. In Kenya, we have Nuria. I mean, knowledge is more accessible today than it has ever been for generations. So it is just about your willingness to go and find that knowledge. Someone says knowledge is like a lion. You cannot hug it, but you have to seek it and fight for it. So you go seek knowledge, enrich yourself, network, meet other people, learn new things, and then become resourceful. And you will continue growing every day as you increase information. If it's a leader, talk to your followers. Your followers will give you more information on leading them than you will ever find. So create opportunities also to hear the people you lead, and then you will lead them effectively, not leading them from an ivory tower. To lead them effectively is to hear them and to listen to them, and to listen to what they wish or where they want you to lead them to. Yeah.
You cannot be a Mr. Know-it-all or a Miss Know-it-all. You need to listen.
That's the wrong way of doing leadership.
You know, you're painting a picture that's very different from how we have been viewing leadership. We thought it was a reward. It was luxurious, like, you know, I'm a leader, I'm the boss, but it's sort of like that is where work begins.
In fact,
the moment you become a leader, you start working.
Simon Sinek wrote a book, he titled it, Leaders Eat Last. So that gives you the stark picture of what leadership is. It's about servanthood. Now that's a style of leadership called servant leadership, and I have come to find out that I think it's the one that really works, because you don't want to lead with fear. You want to lead with inspiration. You want to inspire people to follow you through your vision, through your values. You want to inspire people to follow you, not command them to follow you. That doesn't work anymore. We are in a democratic world, in most spaces. Things are democratic. The internet has made us even more democratic. So people will only follow you if you influence and inspire them. Yeah, that's the style I think that is working.
That works. All right. There is also this concept that is very pivotal, the public speaking and public engagement. You could know so much. You can be well-schooled and you've done research. You've written so many books. But when you come in public to now pour out your knowledge, it's sort of like you're making it even more complex for people as opposed to communicating.
Yes.
Talk to us about effective public speaking skills as part of branding yourself as a leader as well.
Very important point, because again, John Maxwell says, those who win...
And you've read a lot of books. I'm impressed.
No, I love John Maxwell because I don't think you will find a better teacher of leadership than John Maxwell. He has a book called Don't Communicate, Connect. So as a leader, are you simply communicating or connecting? And this connecting, the way people connect with you is through your values and your vision. Because people follow you because they somewhat agree with who you are and where you're taking them. So if yours is just to come and it's more like you're giving a memo, you're not connecting with anyone. You're not connecting to the needs of the people you're following. You're not connecting to their deep-seated values and their deep-seated intentions in life. I was listening to some other corporate leader. He said that he's a sales leader. He talks to his employees and he ties the goals of the company to their personal goals. And he says this really, really encourages them to work and achieve the company goals. But he makes it about them, not about the company. Yes, the company is asking you to do 3 million a month. But the way I see you and your family, what are your goals? I want to go for a vacation this year. I want to buy my son a new bike. I want to buy my wife a new car. So if you do this 3 million, we will have achieved all these goals this month. So focus on what you want to do for your family. Forget about the 3 million the company needs. Think about what your family needs. That is connecting. It is not simply communicating. So public speaking, people think that you have to be like, let me give him his flowers, PLO. They think you have to sound like PLO. You have not necessarily, although PLO has mastered it as an art. Now you may not be at PLO level, but you could be at a level where you can effectively communicate by connecting with your audience, connecting with your followers, connecting with what they are seeking. And then when you give that to them, when you connect with them, then they are willing to hear you, they are willing to follow you, they are willing to be told what to do because they understand you have their issues at heart. So if you don't understand your leaders, or not your leaders, your followers, then you're not doing it right. You must make an effort to connect with those you follow. Yes.
There are leaders, or should I call them leaders or public speakers, who think when you outsmart your audience, you say things that they've never heard about and concepts that would make them overthink, that's when you become impressive.
Wrong on all levels, because the simpler your message is, the more people connect with you. Because the more complex your message is, the faster you lose the people you're talking to. So you're just talking to yourself. You're not talking to them. You're talking to yourself. It's like, I have a friend who has a very funny way of describing it, but it's you who is talking to yourself. You're not talking to them. So you are in this complex world with these big words and everything, but people don't understand what you're saying. So why did you go before them in the first place if they can't understand you? So the simpler your message is, the easier it is to follow you with what you're saying, the more impact you will have, or the more effect your speech or what you're saying will have. Because at the end of the day, communication is not just simply saying things. It's saying things and the other listening party to understand and comprehend what you said, because how are they going to, a leader is supposed to inspire people to take action. Like if someone is campaigning, they are trying to inspire us to go and vote for them. So how will we take action if we don't understand what they are saying? So it is not inspiring us to any action. You just went there and you just pleased yourself and went home. So the point is to, again, leaders mostly, or the speakers, they don't understand their audience. They don't do their homework about their audience. But because if you do homework about your audience, I understand there are times you will have a sophisticated audience. I agree. Then use the language that they understand. So it has everything to do with your followers and your audience. That determines how you script your message. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, again, another selfless way of looking at leadership. It's never about you.
Still giving.
You know, it seems like it's never about you. It's about who you're leading, the people you're leading.
Yeah, if it's about you, then you're only leading yourself. And of course, I know you have to lead yourself before you lead others, but don't make it about you. It's beyond you. If you want to have that impact, if you want to have that long-term effect, if you want us to remember you the way we still remember the leaders who we have in our minds, it was never about them. It was about the people they are leading. Yes.
The cause that they fought for. Today we're talking about personal branding, and when we started, you stated that leadership is the area that now really needs a lot of focus when it comes to conversations on personal branding. If you look at, I know you've analyzed different sectors of leadership, political, corporate, and all that. What concerns you most? The things that you feel like here, this is actually a missing link. These are the points that our leaders are really missing.
One that I may love to really point is that most leaders are hiding behind their corporate brands. Even if it's maybe a church, they want to hide behind the organization. Let the organization be forward. Me, I'm okay to lead from behind here. I have not seen you lead from the front. Come out front and communicate your values, communicate your beliefs, communicate the reason why you're even leading this organization. Because now then, today if I asked you, there are so many corporate brands but you may not even know their vision. You just know they exist. Because it is the work of the leader to communicate the vision of this organization. Talk even of founders of startups. They spend more time fundraising than they spend articulating their vision. So we cannot even connect. I was looking lately, there is a water brand that was rebranding. I don't want to mention it, but they have rebranded, and that has gone around on LinkedIn a lot, and a lot of branding experts are speaking. And me, the thing I saw is that, yes, you have rebranded, but you have lost the opportunity to tell us what you're doing. You have lost the opportunity to tell a story. Tell us that this is where we were. Now we want to move on to this because of this and these reasons. Now that's why they didn't think it was important for us, but it is important for us. Now for leaders also to continue communicating your message, you must come out front and speak. Look at what Elon Musk is doing. Elon Musk is out here talking, and he's giving his views, he's saying what he thinks, but I mean, success leaves clues. The man is doing it. So what makes us think we are smarter than him? And it's not only him. Look at Gates. I look at one very important example I'd like to mention is Strive Masiyiwa. For the last 10 years, he's been putting out content on Facebook and adding value to young people, telling the story of Econet, where he started, what he's been doing. And we connect with him so intimately, even if we may not necessarily consume his products. So you as a leader, come out front, make use of these social platforms. Leaders are not doing that anymore. Make use of social platforms, put out content, add value. That's one challenge I see. Most people are hiding behind the organization. Yes.
Will it require some level of training or coaching, because you may be elected today, you think it's inborn, you have it, you can just address people. Do you think there is some need to invest in building your personal brand?
I think personal branding is a keen personal development. It never stops. You continue learning, you continue growing every day until you die, unless you refuse. Otherwise, it continues every day of your life. So There are so many courses out here. I encourage people to join courses like Toastmasters. Toastmasters is very good for public speaking. Go there, learn how to speak. And there are so many other opportunities. There are coaches for virtually everything that you want to learn. So go find a professional, let them help you. But it starts with you being honest with your weaknesses. You have to be honest with what is not working for you. You have to be, I don't think, okay, to some level leadership can be inborn, but that does not mean you are immune to learning. You can always continue learning and enlightening yourself at every stage of growth. If you ran as an MCA this year, next time you want to run for MP, it will need more for you to run for MP than it needed for you to run for MCA. And we keep growing at different levels. So for every level, it will need a new you. How will the new you come out if you don't look for these opportunities to learn and to build yourself as a person? So it's a continuous process, but sit down, introspect. In fact, for your viewers, if they contact me on social media, I have a tool that I give people. These days, I used to sell it, now I give it for free. It's a personal branding guide. It helps you to get down, to ask the difficult questions, to say, who am I? What are my weaknesses? It's more like doing a SWOT analysis, but now from the personal branding point. So you go and be truthful to yourself, then you know now, for me to build myself, this is what I need to do. This is how I need to address my weaknesses. Even my strengths, this is how I can bolster them the more. So that's the whole point. It's continuous growth. It never stops.
It never stops. It's a journey. Yeah. As we wind up this conversation, a question I meant to ask you before we conclude, can you rebuild your brand? And you know where I'm coming from. As leaders, you attract a lot of controversy.
Yes.
We've seen people's names go down the mud because of just one thing that went wrong at a certain level of their leadership. Is it a done deal, or you can actually clean up your name and rebuild your personal brand as a leader?
Yeah, you can, even though I must say it's not easy. Because, you know, reputation is this famous saying that you build it for years, you lose it in 5 minutes. That is how brittle reputation can be. But all hope is not lost. What I say is that mostly we see what we in communication we would call a PR crisis. The best way, I believe, to navigate it is to be truthful. Address it. People avoid addressing the issues they know brought controversy. Address the issue. Be open about it. If the pictures of you at 23 came out with you clubbing shirtless, with bottles of alcohol on your chest, just come out and say, I was young, wild, and crazy, but I have grown to be a better man today, and this is what I now believe in. Because this is a growth process. Personal branding is not an event. It's a process of becoming a better version of yourself every day. So you can always communicate these things and say, this is where I was, this is where I am, and this is where I am going. All this that happened, they happened for reasons that were at that time, or that happened at that time, but I'm no longer the same person. These are my values, this is my vision, this is what I'm becoming, this is what I'm doing every day to become that. And now the goal is to be consistent with this new version of yourself that you're seeking.
And that can only happen if you're authentic. If the real you comes out. Because we have others who are hiding behind a mask. They have not changed, but they are painting this image as if they've changed.
Crumble, I promise you.
So they paint a very positive, changed person, reformed, but deep inside it's the same old. One day everything just explodes.
I have a friend who likes to say that you can say many things in public, but when you go to sleep, you know the truth.
Wow. Okay.
So you know the truth, fix it, and be authentic and consistent. Then maybe, just maybe, you can fix your image.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And we just put a comma there. Probably it's a conversation that we should be having one of these days. Sherastine Mengo, he is a personal branding and positioning consultant, this morning talking to us about personal branding in the context of leadership, the do's, the don'ts, and what should be the lines not to cross, how you rebuild your personal brand in case you have had like a personal brand crisis, if I may call it that. And thank Thank you so much for all of you who created time to watch the show since we began till now. We really appreciate your time. Those who communicated with us via our social media platforms, we appreciate your comments. Let's do this again another time. My name is Safina Chengoma. Have a lovely day ahead.